What is Object.defineProperty used for in JavaScript? Imagine you want to control exactly how properties in your JavaScript objects behave. Maybe you want some properties to be read-only or hidden from certain operations. That's where Object.defineProperty comes into play. It is a method in JavaScript that allows you to add new properties or change existing ones with very specific rules. Instead of just assigning a value to a property, this method lets you set detailed instructions on how that property works. When you use Object.defineProperty, you specify property attributes called descriptors. These include value, writable, enumerable, and configurable. The value is what the property holds. Writable determines if you can change that value later. If writable is false, the property becomes read-only. Enumerable decides if the property appears when you list object keys, like with object keys or in loops. If false, the property stays hidden from those lists. Configurable controls whether you can delete the property or change its descriptors later. If false, the property is locked in its current state. Another powerful feature of Object.defineProperty is creating accessor properties. Instead of a fixed value, you can define getter and setter functions. Getters run when you access the property, and setters run when you assign a new value. This lets you add custom logic, like validation or dynamic calculations, whenever the property is read or changed. This method is very useful for controlling how your objects behave. For example, you can make properties that cannot be changed after creation, making your objects more predictable. You can hide internal data by setting enumerable to false, so it doesn't show up in lists. You can also prevent properties from being deleted or reconfigured by setting configurable to false. Plus, with getters and setters, you can create properties that automatically update or validate data. In web development, Object.defineProperty is often used to define constants that shouldn't change. It helps create computed properties that depend on other data. It's also used to hide internal properties from outside code, making your objects safer and easier to manage. Developers use it to add validation when setting values, ensuring data stays correct. The syntax is straightforward. Object.defineProperty takes 3 arguments. The first is the object you want to modify. The second is the name of the property. The third is an object describing how that property should behave. This descriptor can include value, writable, enumerable, configurable, get, and set. In summary, Object.defineProperty is a powerful tool that gives you full control over object properties. It's essential for creating objects that behave exactly as you want, whether that's making properties immutable, hidden, or dynamically computed. This method helps you write cleaner, safer, and more predictable JavaScript code, especially when working with complex data structures and control flow.